Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good day, wherever you're watching this from. My name is Sola Adesakin. I'm glad to be in your faces once again. I am very enthusiastic about personal finance, about helping you achieve your financial goals. I have one of our coaches, lead coaches at the Smart Stewards here today on this video with me. He's not strange to you by now, hopefully. His name is Mayowa Olusoji. We call him Coach Mayowa. And together we'll be talking about the impact of technology on your personal finance, technology on financial planning, and how you can leverage technology to maximize your resources. Hello, Coach Mayowa. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Coach Sola. It's good to be here. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here again. And it's ironic we're talking about technology and personal finance, and look at what technology is making possible. I'm in the UK here, and also you're over there, and it's becoming norm whereby everyone is leveraging on technology. It's not like, I don't want technology now. No, I'm old school. No, it's a must. You don't have technology, you can't even bank, basically. So, yep, it's a good thing to be here today and discuss that. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. So at a session I held earlier today, I was talking about the impacts of technology on personal finance. But let me backtrack a bit. Sometime in July, at a TEDx event, I was also talking about the impacts of technology on personal finance, especially for Gen Z, those in the Gen Z category. I said that about we the Gen Z, okay. And I said that, at about 6 years ago, I wanted to buy some US stocks. And there was a particular app. If I remember clearly, I think the name of the app back then was Stockpile. I can't remember if they are still very functional. And I was so desperate to buy US stocks. Each time I put my details, that I need to have a social security number, which I didn't have. But I couldn't buy the shares back then. But it's so amazing that these days, right on my phone, I can buy US stocks and all of that. And I have this feeling that this is just a tip of the iceberg. In the next 2, 3, 4 years, we do not know, what the world would have become in terms of technology, or the impact of technology, not just on personal finance, but on life generally, interactions, our connections, our businesses, and all of that. But let's bring it back home to personal finance. From your experience, Coach Mayowa, what are some of the things that you think technology can help us achieve in our personal financial life, personal financial exploits, and and goals?
Thanks, Coach Sola. I'll break this down to 2 key areas in personal finance: your budgeting and then your savings, basically, those 2 key things. One of the benefits and one of the advantages of technology there with savings, you can actually, it takes that manual, you wanting to remember to say, I've got to remember to put some money aside. With technology, all you just do is like the book called The Automatic Millionaire, you automate your savings. So thereby, from the moment you're paid till end of the month, technology is so vast that you don't even have to think about when it comes to your savings or your investments at all. When you do the periodical review, you can do that, but that is the gift of it, number one. And the other side there is, when it comes to your budgeting, there are softwares, there are tools you can use to actually track, because what you don't measure, you can't improve. And one of the key things that for personal finance, it's important for you to know, how am I faring? For you to be able to do that, you need to have the ability to track. And technology makes that tracking so easy. There's so many apps out there whereby you can actually link them to your bank account so that as you're spending, it's going into a category. And the 2-3 minutes where you take your phone, you're going on social media, you go into the app, you just spend 2 naira or 20,000 or something, just go there, click it, category expense. At the end of the week, it gives you a summary in detail for you to see, wow, there's no devil stealing your money. This is where your money is going. So it allows you to quickly do in-depth analysis on where are the leaking pots, in my finances. Then you can make real-time adjustments. And with your savings as well, you automate your payment whereby your money comes in, it goes into different pots. From different pots, it goes into your investment pots. From investment pots, your investment is there. Your investment is a click away. you go into your investment dashboard, you click that, you see where you are. So those are the benefits of technology. And I think these days, if you're not leveraging on technology and personal finance, it's just like someone trying to go from Lagos to Abuja and you're walking, where someone gets to the airport and they fly. Both of you will get there eventually, but it's a matter of in what state with you that you're walking and at what time. So that's one of the things technology does for you. So leveraging it is essential.
Awesome. I love that. So in the world of personal finance, we teach that there are about 10 pillars or maybe 7 pillars: savings, budgeting, investing, debt management, credit management, making more money, insurance, and a couple of other things. It's interesting to know that, because you mentioned using savings, using apps for your saving and investment activities. So, but it's so interesting to know that these days you can literally use apps for any area of your personal finance. So you already mentioned savings and budgeting. Before I go on, do you want to chip in the exact apps you use, or maybe a wide array of apps that people can use from your own point for savings and budgeting, as you mentioned?
There is one called Pocket Expense. I think that one is good because I am someone who likes in-depth analysis. So I still revert back to the old school of Excel. I download my tracking from, and then also I use Everyday Dollar by Dave Ramsey. Those are the 2 apps I use to do I think it's Pocket Expense. Where is it Pocket Expense? Where's my phone? Just one second.
I use Pocket Expense.
It's Pocket Expense. Yeah, I use Pocket Expense. And one of the things Pocket Expense gives you there is you can create your own personalized pots, where you want to call them. So you can allocate each of the spendings, where it goes. And at the end of the week, it gives you that dashboard of you seeing it. To me, even you can get to the point where even your discretionary expenses, you can still break them down for you to see, out of my discretionary expenses, which of them is the one that is actually really draining me. And once you get to the habit of doing that, then it becomes self-sustaining, really. But I still like the Excel bit, eventually at the back end.
Okay. So for budgeting, I use Monify. I used to use Pocket Expense, but they're similar, they both have the same features. The good thing is that when I upgraded, we all like freebies, free things. When I upgraded, I saw that there were many other things that I could get in addition to what I was getting for free. So I would also export my own whatever to Excel. But I like to use Google Sheets. So there's this Google Sheet I've been keeping for about 4 years or even 5 years. I use that to sort of reconcile my bank account to my everyday spending. So it's usually a buffet of so many things. By the time it becomes a habit, you realize that always looking out for what is the next best one and which one is more comprehensive, which one is more robust and all of that. Okay, so we have talked about the app for budgeting. I use Monify, you use Pocket Expense, you use Everyday Dollar and your Google Sheet. I use my Google Sheet and my Monify, sometimes Pocket Expense. For savings, is there a particular app you use for savings? Before I go on, I know there are a couple of fintech companies that provide the platform for savings, automated savings. I don't want to mention names, but in Nigeria, I use a particular fintech platform for just putting aside money and, for my savings. What do you use, Mayowa?
I actually use my bank account to do my savings. So what I just do there is set up standing orders from my bank account. And what I do there is with my strategy filters them into 2 other accounts. And then another pillar there is now plug that into the investments, my investment portal. And then what it does that it takes from my bank account, puts it into different savings account, and from savings account, another one takes it and puts it into my investment port. And all of this happens within a couple of hours because my banks, they actually, what's it called? The banks I use as well, I use Monzo. I use, which other one? I use Monzo. Revolut is a new one. It's quite good. I use Monzo, I use Revolut, and also use Starling Banks. And these are all fintechs. And they get out. One of the things they do now there is they now have inbuilt analysis for you to actually use them at the same time for tracking your finances. That's what they're doing now. So that's what I use. So eventually that plugs into my investment portal. So there is a link. So I don't even have to think about it twice in terms of, I have no invested money this month. So there's no money, anything that is left there, I know it's just left over basically, because what? Automation and leveraging on technology has taken that thinking of I need to invest, because I've put in the front load of work of giving the app the instructions, and I just leave it to self-sustain itself.
Okay, so for those who may be wondering, Monzo or Revolut, Coach Mayowa is in the UK, so let me bring you back home to Nigeria and how you can, leverage some of these apps. Like I said, for my budgeting, I use Modify. For my savings, I use my traditional, percentages. We teach the 50, 30, 20 rule, but I tweak, I move the figures around, I tweak things. Sometimes I'm saving 50% of my earnings. Some other times I'm saving 40%. Some other times I'm actually saving 70%. But once you have a percentage or the percentages of your budget, say 50 is going into your earnings, 50% of your earnings is going into your need to have, and let's say 30% is going into your saving, and then 20% is going into your wants. So let's focus on the 30%, which means you have 30% to save. The next question is, where do I put this money? For me, my savings and investments, on a monthly basis depends on a couple of things. Sometimes I may say that, okay, this month I want to save in my piggy vest, or did I mention the name? Or my piggy vest platform. Piggy vest is a fintech app that you can use, that we use in Nigeria. So I put some money there, but you see, I value my funds to the nearest $1,000. I've been doing that for years because I'd rather hedge against currency risks. So when I value it, then I either move it into my dollar mutual fund, or I move it into another USD investment. So I'm moving gradually from saving into investing. So that's what I do. I'm still a very traditional person, and then maybe because we do not have a lot of options, but I'm aware that a lot of people use some of these apps in Nigeria to save. So I save, I leave some Naira there. Some other times I just mop out my funds, change it into dollars, and then we go into the world of investment. So it brings me to the next point. Investment apps. What apps do you use to invest? Let me quickly say mine. There are a couple of investment apps, but I don't want to do free ads for anybody. And then people will start to mention your names. Oh, it was this person. But I have an app through which I buy US stocks. It is something we have mentioned to members of the investment club. If you're a member of our Smart Investment Club, we have said it all over again. I have an app through which I buy US stocks. Monthly, I ensure to buy fractional shares monthly. Okay. Some other months I also use, there's a bank I bank with, and I do my dollar mutual fund through them. That's for my investment. Then what other? Then I have a couple of other investment platforms that I use. They're not. Yeah, some of them have apps, but it depends on how I feel. Once I set aside what I want to save and invest for the month, it cannot be less than 30% of whatever I've earned. Then I now decide what is going into what. But that's just a snapshot of how I invest. So I do US stocks monthly and index funds. I do my dollar mutual fund topping up. Nigerian investment, yes. Sometimes when there are a couple of agro-allied opportunities, I do them. But I'm very, very, very particular about buying US stocks for long term, US index funds, and then mutual funds. So I top up across board, and then I look at dollar mutual fund. Now, I was speaking somewhere today, and I was talking about the importance of hedging against currency risks, especially for those who are in Nigeria, and the fact that you need to buy US stocks. And then somebody took it personally and said, why am I not telling them to buy Nigerian stocks and all of that? Anyway, maybe we'll talk about that some other time. But that's how that's just a snapshot of my own investment pattern. How does yours look like, Mayowa?
With mine, I put the biggest chunk into the retirement pots, because one of the benefits you get in the UK there is if you fund in terms of retirement pots, which we teach our UK based chapter about that, in terms of you have your state pension, you have your personal pension, and you have your work pension. So you maximize those ones, and then we have one called SIP, self-investment. So what I do there is the biggest chunk goes into SIP, and once it goes into there, the government gives 25% top up. So that one already, the moment it drops in there, and I use Vanguard Investor. That's what I use for that one. And also I have another app which I use for stocks. I'm not going to do advert for anybody, just like you said, but I think it's the same one we use, which I use for stocks as well. And I also use that one, I think it's in the UK, Trading 212. I use Trading 212 for myself and for my kids. That's what I used to do for that one. And also, you didn't mention this, Coach. Smart Investment Club has got an app as well, which allows its member to actually invest. They see their dashboard, they see what investment allocation there is. So yeah, and as well as Smart Investment Club as well. And the good thing there is whatever investment is within Smart Investment Club, you're going to see if it's with property, if it's agro-allied, if it's bonds, whatever investment you've actually taken on the Smart Investment Club, you see it within that dashboard. So we don't just preach this, we practice it. We have an app as well with the Smart Investment Club, which you use as well. So that one is there as well. And then whatever is left. Oh, and I go into a little bit of crypto. It's not for everybody. I don't advise anyone to do crypto, but I'm a risk taker because I take it like, okay, the safety net, you put the biggest check in safety net, whatever I have, which I feel like if anything happens to it, but I'm a believer of technology is getting into the phase of, we're moving away from information technology. We're going into what I call AI, artificial intelligence. That is the next phase. You have driverless cars. It is happening. It is governments in America that are being stubborn and not, even the cars they're doing right now, it's so automated whereby, once, what they call cruise control, when you're driving and you put cruise control. Cruise control is automation. That means you don't have to put your foot on the gas. So automation is slowly making its way into the world. And that is where AI is coming. So technology is not a matter of, no, me, I'm not doing this. Look at checks now. Who writes checks anymore? Nobody writes checks. Everybody does bank transfers. So that is how I do my investment. And a couple of apps I use. I use Binance, and I'm not advertising as well. I use actually two platforms. I think Coinbase and the other one, I use both of them, and the funds go into them. And whatever is left, I know that's what is left to be spent. So if I spend it within 2 days, man, that's me done. So, Coach, there's one thing which you don't have to do with technology. You don't have to depend on willpower to save. You don't have to say, I need no, once you automate the process, it takes away that human intervention of you having to do, because willpower is not constant all through the day, all through the month. If you have a bad day, does that mean when you schedule to take an opportunity of an investment, you don't? So when you leverage technology, leave the work to the technology to do that. And then you now make the decisions about the overall strategy, basically. That's how I approach it, man.
So good. I love it. So I was going to save the best for the last. I was going to talk about the Smart Investment Club as the final thing, but since you let the cat out of the bag already, yes. At the Smart Investment Club, we have such a beautiful app that helps you do like your investment profile. You know what your risk temperament is, sort of, and then we have all sort of investment opportunities on it. Angel investing, we even have our cooperative on it as well, our cooperative contributions for those who are in the cooperative. And then we have, I think we have integrations with an asset management company where you can buy Naira mutual funds and even dollar mutual funds right there from our app. It's such a beautiful thing. And, it's a joy for me also to log in and then check in my wallet, my investment portfolio. A couple of days ago, I checked what I had. I'm like, wow, this looks good. It just also boosts my confidence when I'm like, okay, my network, what do I have where and all of that. It's a beautiful thing, okay? So we have talked about apps you can use for budgeting, for saving, for investing. But because of time, I would just want us to address one last issue and then maybe some other time we can follow up. I really would have wanted us to talk about how apps you can use for debt management, but we will save that for another time. Finally, for today, so this technology thing, as crept in or crept up onto us, so to say. A few years ago, when you tell people about, use an app to save, people are like, no, I'm not ready to disclose my bank details or anything. But these days, gradually, people are warming up to using, technology to save, apps, Facebook, even social media tools. A lot more people, even in the older generation, are embracing these things. Because in our investment club, we have retirees, we have people who are nearing retirement, and they're on this app, like I said. But what are some of the things that we need to be aware of, in a digital age that is going to get more digital, right? More automated as the years roll by. What are key things that everybody must bear in mind as you leverage technology to maximize your finances?
I think for me, the few things I'll mention there is security, because be careful of security, and be careful of which apps. Don't just because we're saying technology is here to stay, don't be careful how you handle your personal security. Don't use the same password for all the apps you have. Don't do that. If you use that, means once someone can breach one of your accounts, they can breach everything, and that just leaves you vulnerable. Have, in terms of softwares that would actually protect your gadget. This is the time where you pay more on antivirus, you pay more on things that will protect your data, because this data, your data is you, basically, and you can do almost anything from your phone. Technology is what COVID did. Was COVID brought 5-7 years of technology closer within a year. We were going to get there eventually, but what COVID did was COVID brought the time closer, whereby everybody, for you to see people, you can't go to see them. How do? You use WhatsApp, you use Zoom, your education now is online, almost everything that is essential during that lockdown. And as lockdown is phased away, we still carried on with it, because why? It is the future. So while you do that, be careful how you pick your technology. Number two, don't be ignorant of what you're using. Like, before I use any app, I read the reviews. I understand who's designed it, because anybody could design an app that would clone. And also be careful in terms of when you're on social media, don't just click everything. Don't just click every before you do anything, be careful of what you're clicking into. So to me, that's the greatest part, my passion, in terms of be security conscious. Your bank details, protect them. Your investment details, protect them. Write them somewhere. Don't put them on the same phone that you use. If you lose your phone, what happens? Have a cloud storage, store things on cloud, and make sure you have a secure cloud storage. Those are the things in which the steps I take, whereby even I still write my passwords all on a piece of paper somewhere, and I keep it. Why? If someone hacks into my online account and they hack into my OneDrive and OneNote, that means they can see all my passwords. So I leave some there, I put some on a piece of paper just in case something happens. So I'm not completely locked out. And then I still do something which might be old school, is I still keep a little bit of cash available on one side. Not a lot, but something that will get you by a day or two. Because what happens if all the systems is completely down for 48 hours? What do you do? So those are the other side of technology. There is a dark side of technology, but it's inevitable. It's here to stay. It's the future.
So true. I like the point. I think you have said it all. Guilty as charged. A lot of us are guilty with, this using the same password across different sites. We have heard it all. And then, putting all your passwords on cloud. I know there are phone features that would allow you save your passwords, These days, especially in Nigeria, where a lot of people are, very vulnerable to hackers and all of that, you read different stories, all the time. So you see, technology is a beautiful thing, but there are disadvantages here and there. Yeah. And we know that things are going to get more sophisticated, and so will be, scammers, tactics and all of that. So we must, we must put measures in place to ensure that we are not victims. All right. Until we come your way once again, I hope that you have learned a thing or two from this conversation. We see you some other time soon. God bless.
See you later. God bless. Thank you. Bye.